Welcome back into 3HL right here on 104.5 The Zone, man.
And all is right in the world.
This is the time of the year when you hear that voice and you understand exactly who it is. Mr. Jim Nantz is on the line.
Hello, friends. Nice to be back with you guys. I'm just sorry the mayor is off today, but he's there in spirit, and I'm thrilled to be back on the show.
Oh, hi. We are so glad you're back on. Listen, not the same without hearing your voice, this tourney. And so this is your first one as a fan, right? How different was it for you?
Well, actually, it's my second. But,
it's your second, okay.
It's my second, but I last year was the first year after 5 years of hosting the NCAA tournament and 32 years of calling the Final Four and the national championship. You know, somebody added it up. It was 354 NCAA tournament games, not regular season, not conference tournament. 354 win and advance games, and they all were memorable and special. And now I've been out for 2 seasons and just focusing on with my new life here in Nashville, which I love, and focusing on the NFL with Romo and calling our main game on CBS and calling 15 to 20 weeks of golf tournaments. I've loved being a fan. Last year, I went over to Memphis to follow my Houston Cougars. We won a couple of games over there last year. And then yesterday, I was in Indianapolis following my alma mater again. So I'm still connected to the tournament. I'm grateful for the length and longevity that I had, but I just needed to get a little time off the hamster wheel. As much as I loved it, I just needed some time to myself instead of 47, 48 weeks a year being away from home.
Oof. Shoot, I saw Coach Sampson has you in team pictures and everything. I mean, I don't know, Jim. I don't think you're off the hamster wheel here. I think you're with the Houston team.
That Houston team is very dear to me, and it's a long story, but I'll condense it here. When I was at school and I was a walk on the golf team, I went to school knowing one thing. I wanted to study communications, and I wanted to work for CBS. And that was my dream, was to work for CBS Sports. And my coach introduced me through the golf coach to Guy Lewis, who was the basketball coach, Hall of Famer, took Houston to 5 Final Fours. And somehow coach immediately assigned me to being the public address announcer at the home games. They're at the embryonic stages of Phi Slamma Jamma with Clyde and Akeem. I gave Clyde his nickname, the Glide. I think I told you guys that before.
Yeah.
And then I hosted his coach's show as a student on the NBC affiliate. So it became my avenue into television and into the industry. Came through the Houston basketball program, and I've always remained close. Along with my college roommates, Freddie Couples and Blaine McAllister, we endowed the first ever basketball scholarship in perpetuity at Houston. So our point guard, yesterday you saw him, number 7, Milo Suzanne, he's on the Three Amigos Scholarship. And there have been, of course, others to follow suit. We wanted to lead 3 golf geeks. We wanted to show the athletes that had made it big that you come back and you do this kind of thing for your school and you take a scholarship off the board forever. And we did that. We did the very first one. And there are other ways I've stayed connected to the program, and it's just very personal. I'm honored to have a banner in the Raptors at the Fertitta Center, our home games, that they shocked me with last year to commemorate my 32 national championship calls. So this is the one thing I really have that little boy inside of me where you just are a fan and the love for your team, it just comes pouring out of you, and that's what I feel.
I love it.
Gotta love that, Jim, man. Appreciate you joining us. Jim Nantz on with us now. Jim, the crowd, I was at the game in Indianapolis. It had to be, and you correct me if I'm wrong, I may be generous on this one, 80-20 Tennessee, Houston?
I think it was more. I think it was closer to like almost 20-1. It was a home game, and Kelvin Sampson, our coach, we love him, and I love Rick Barnes. I've known Rick from Providence to Texas. I called his Final Four team in 2003 when he took Texas to New Orleans with T.J. Ford as his point guard. But we did a good job of getting the crowd kind of out of it early and establishing a presence early. There was going to be a run in the second half. You knew it was coming. And, man, when the couple of threes were popped by the Volunteers, the place was stirring. And somehow The Houston team came back down and popped a 3 right back to answer it, never let them get closer than 10. But I want to say this. I'm sorry I missed you first off yesterday in person. I really did. It cross my mind that you were probably there, but Lucas Oil is a big stadium, and I couldn't find you. Yeah. But the other thing, this is an observation. This was really my impetus to call you guys today. I'm an observer, basically, as my world. I'm an observer, and I tell people what I see. And what I saw yesterday out of the Tennessee fans really left an impression on me that I wanted to tell your audience about, because I'm around fans all the time. And they were so kind and generous, and not because they were pointing these comments in my direction. I had other people at Houston say they could not believe how classy the Tennessee fans were in defeat. And I wanted you guys to hear that. It made me very proud, even more proud, to be a resident here. Repeatedly, as the volunteer faithful were leaving and their hearts are broken, trust me, I know that feeling very well. They would look up at a Houston fan and say, "You guys played great today. Good luck at the Final Four. We'll be pulling for you." It was constant stream of comments like that as I hung around after the game yesterday, I heard it from other people just openly talking about how generous the Tennessee fans were to the Houston fans in defeat. I'd only really experienced it one time in my life. Now, I see it again. NFL stadiums, I haven't sat at Nissan except for a couple of preseason games. I have not sat in the stands. But NFL games, people get pretty raucous. There's a lot of yelling, taunting, all that kind of shenanigans. Mm-hmm. One time, I happened to be at West Point. Houston was playing Army. And we happened to win that day like 34-0. And it was a dominant performance. And I had several people from West Point, some people that I knew that were part of the academy. And they came back to me and said over and over again how impressed they were by the way the Houston people behaved, the fan base. And it left a major impression on me as someone that covers sporting events. I took that story back and I told that at Houston. I go back and speak to the teams at the athletic banquets, et cetera, et cetera. And I've told them many times about that experience at West Point, how proud I was of our university and our fans, that that's what they were saying at the U.S. Military Academy. Mm-hmm. And until yesterday, I had never really heard that kind of talk in the air. But I heard it yesterday from the Tennessee faithful on the way out. I mean, I heard it more than a handful of times. Mm-hmm. It's like they were just going to take a one-sided defeat. And listen, we know we just caught them on a bad day, and maybe we had a little something to do with it, but we played 10 times. It might have been 5-5 between these two schools. And anyway, just made me, as a Tennessean now, very proud.
Brandon in the chat, Jim said, "Hey, someone thinks we're classy." Slay, did you keep it classy?
Listen, you really, when you make it to this elite level, this is what I was explaining earlier. When you make it to this elite level, it's a tip of the cap. Like, it's mano a mano. Yeah, it's one of these games you're not going to see a lot of deficiencies, and if they are, they're going to get a light shined on them that is hard to recover from, and I thought that's what Houston did. But so to answer your question, Babsy, yes, I was classy. But I do want to know this, Jim, about Houston. In the climate that we're in today, we hear Tom Izzo talk about it, Rick Barnes talk about it. We talked about it earlier today, and definitely Kelvin Sampson talk about it. How special is it to be able to have a group of guys, even if it's just 2 or 3, to stay in your program and not transfer out or not get persuaded by NIL, but to get engulfed in the culture of what your coach has said, and you grab that and you just continue to pass it down the line. How special is this Houston team?
Slay, I'm so glad you brought it up because I walked on the floor yesterday after the game, and next thing you know, I had 4 media members, asking me questions at one time. I felt like I was holding a post-game press conference, and I've seen the results of it today. And I was not mentally thinking that that was going to happen, but we live being prepared to improvise and let my heart pour out a little bit, because we do live in an era of college athletics that if you've been raised on college athletics, and all of us on this conversation right now, I know feel the same way. Mm-hmm. It used to be a whole lot different than it is now, before the portal, before NIL, and we're not happy with the direction. Most of us don't love the way it feels today, where your players are on 1-year contracts and the season ends and they want to test the market, and it's the new reality.
Right.
And let's be honest, we all have to play the NIL game, as bad as it is. I don't get it. I mean, I'm not a fan. I think it needs to be regulated somehow. I don't know how that's going to happen, but it seems right now like it's not governed at all. But yeah, even Houston, we have an NIL fund.
Mm-hmm.
And, but having said that, this team, I can only speak to Houston. I can't speak to Tennessee.
Right.
It's a very loyal bunch. They are buying everything that Kelvin Sampson is telling them. It's a family atmosphere. Kelvin's son, Kellen, is this heir apparent. He's going to be the next coach whenever down the road Kelvin decides to retire. Hopefully it's years down the road. Kelvin will be great. Mm-hmm. Kelvin's daughter, Lauren, is basketball ops head. Karen, his wife, has the team over for dinner all the time. There's a close-knit group there. And we went out and got one player this year through the portal, our point guard, Uzan from Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. But everybody else stayed. L.J. Cryer, this was his 3rd year there. Juwan Roberts, he had a COVID year and a redshirt year. This is his 6th year. He's a man, and he could have left. Yep. And it goes right down the road. The roster. We've got players that could have jumped. I take a guy like Terrence Arsenault, popped a couple of threes in the first half yesterday. Mm-hmm. There were a lot of people interested in him. They see as a great young talent. He came back for another year, and that's kind of the way it's been. I call it throwback.
Yes,
we're kind of now suddenly Houston is what we used to love about college athletics. Our team was as loyal to the school as we are.
Yes.
Now, sometimes it's a little distressing. We don't feel like we're all in on this together. We're rooting for the orange and white or the red and white, but at the end of the season, I'm looking to go somewhere else. That's hard for a fan.
It is.
And with the Houston basketball team, by and large, we don't have a lot of one-and-dones. We had one a few years ago. Jerace Walker, he was in the stands yesterday. He plays for the Pacers. He was a gifted 5-star recruit. But that's really rare for Houston. We don't take guys that are usually the 4 or 5-star recruits. The guys that are on this roster here, one of them was decorated, L.J. Cryer. He was a 4-star. The rest of them have been developed through Sampson, through Kelvin and his staff. And it just feels like the way it used to be in college. You bring a guy in as a freshman, plays a few minutes. The next year, maybe he starts a few games. And the next year after that, he's a starter, maybe a star. And senior year, he's a captain. That's the way we build it. That's a rare. In this NIL portal college environment we live in now, the country should throw its arms around this team and say, hey, I like this team. They're bonded, and they're loyal.
Mm-hmm. No doubt. You always talk about how important experience is in this tournament. I mean, you've called so many games and you've seen it play out and how key that is. When you look at these, I mean, we're chalk here with all 4 number 1 seeds in the Final Four. First time since 2008 and only the second time in tourney history, which is crazy, Jim. But you look at Houston, how much can that experience help? Obviously, Duke, the favorite to win it all. Houston at plus 400 now. But that experience, that family, that tightness, that closeness, all of that, how important is it for that group?
I think that I like the matchup. Really, I like the matchup just because our team is connected and knows how to win. We've now won 29 of our last 30. We lost a couple games at the start of the year when our new player, Uzan, I mentioned, broke his nose in camp, played timidly the first few games. We lost to Alabama blowing an 8-point lead with 2 minutes to go. lost a game in overtime to Auburn. We were 10 up with 2.5 to go. Yep. Games where we didn't have that but late game experience to close it out, as Milos was learning how to, work into the Houston system. But, we're always the team that people look past. And I get it. Look, I called all of Duke's 5 national championships. I've been around that program second most than my own school, Houston. All of Coach K's glories, his first Final Four, I was there. His back-to-back championships, all of his last game. So I know how mighty Duke is, but they're going to run into a group that doesn't care, that always plays the role of the underdog. Slay, you brought it up. We were at a regional. We're the 1 seed, and we've had 2 road games. Yeah. Purdue had filled the building, by and large, on Friday night. And we were fortunate to win that game. Had a couple of calls that went our way that were gifts, to be honest. And we won the game on a last-second shot. But yesterday was another road game for us. And during the Big 12 season, at Arizona, at Kansas, these are these are good programs. We went undefeated on the road. We went 19-1 in the conference. It's funny, Houston was not welcome in one of the major conferences for a long time. And I just shook my head. I knew we could compete. I knew we could fit into a conference and make that conference proud. And I was one of just a handful of people that won a task force for years to try to, behind the scenes, work the conference commissioners, administrators, athletic directors, government officials. I mean, it was a passion project to try to say, hey, over here, we can be good for your conference and we can win. And it took a lot of arm twisting. And once Texas and Oklahoma went to the SEC, we finally had a way to get back in to the Big 12. And what have we done? Our first 2 years in basketball, we've won the conference both years, yes. Running away.
Yes.
We're now 32-2 of our last 34 conference games in a great basketball conference. But it didn't pass the smell test for years. Well, I don't know. We'll see. We're thinking about, and I won't even name some of these other schools that don't have the pedigree or resume. But look, I'm grateful now. It all worked out. I'm grateful for Kelvin Sampson. He's a very dear friend. And yesterday when I was down on the floor, minding my own business, and all of a sudden somebody yelled, "Hey, Coach is looking for you." And I looked over. They were taking the team photo with the trophy, all decked out around the platform where they had been presented the trophy. And I thought, no, I can't do that. And he looked over and said, "Get over here." And a security guard stopped me as I was about to go under the velvet rope. And Kelvin looked at the guy and said, "He's with us." And next thing you know, I'm sitting in the middle of it. It was one of the great thrills of my career, to be honest. I am not worthy, but I am extremely grateful and touched by it. And look, we're going to go down to San Antonio, and it's easy to say that it's house money now, however you want to put it. But, we've never won a national championship. This is our 7th Final Four. We've been close, including having our hearts broken by NC State. If you remember that years ago on the last-second dunk by Lorenzo Charles. Yeah. But if we don't and we lose to Duke, let's say, I'm still extremely happy and proud of the season. We got to the promised land. The Final Four is a massive achievement. Yes. So was the Elite Eight.
Yes.
But, man, it's so interesting watching and observing the tournament from this side of it after sitting courtside since the 1980s. It's been fabulous. I've really enjoyed this so much.
That's what I kind of wanted to ask you. Like, are you to the point where you watch the game completely as a fan yet? Or do you still have your, broadcast side of it where you kind of notice things? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm able to let go and let that young boy that, grew up in love with sports, hopelessly in love with my favorite teams. I let that come out and just lose myself in the arena. It's a good feeling. It really is. I sat yesterday next to our school, our university president and her husband, Dr. Renu Couture, and on my left side was an old pal of mine who was in school when I was, Otis Birdsong, who was a tremendous college player and was the second pick in the draft way back in the late 70s. and we were just beaming with pride. And Dr. Couture said, I'm a superstitious person, and now that we won the way we won today, playing like this, you're going to have to sit next to me in San Antonio next week. So I said, okay,
stay the same.
I can sign up for that. But we played 37 games. I'm not exaggerating. Every game you can find on like ESPN Plus or whatever the outlet is, and they're posted. You can find them. Yeah. And I've either watched them live or on tape. I've seen every single possession of the season, seen every shot, every rebound, and it's kind of a hobby for me. And I just really live and die with this team, and I'm just super excited that we made it down to the last four. It's going to be a great Final Four any way you shake it up. I'm sure there's a lot of people out there with Duke and Cooper Flag, and they want to see them playing Monday night. Probably that's the big rating getter if you're looking at it through that lens. But I still think any way you shake it up, the other game, Auburn, Florida, we all know around these parts how great that game's going to be.
Oh, no.
And Houston putting the clamps on, can they do it? Can they slow down a team that has a trio of freshmen going against older guys who have been playing together for years? It'll be interesting to see.
I think it's going to be a fun storyline. Hey, Jim, our guy Slay is going to be in San Antonio. Now, we know he's a little bit of an SEC homer, right?
Yeah.
So, you got
Should be.
Yeah, we'll give him that. But make sure he stays out of trouble for us there in San Antonio, will you?
I'll keep an eye on him. Trust me. Now, there's only so many places you can go there.
That's
that
what I heard.
Riverwalk. It is I called, 4 Final Fours in the Alamo Dome. And I think it might be that Indianapolis and New Orleans were my favorite Final Four cities. I always believe this event should be in a gathering place where you can walk out of your room and walk to the arena and mingle with the fans of college basketball. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you're centrally located. Indianapolis is an amazing city the way it was constructed for sports. With that in mind, with its hotels and restaurants and the arenas downtown, I mean, they nailed it. But San Antonio gets this event every 6, 7, 8 years, and it's a special place. So, Slay, I don't know how much time you spent around there, but you're going to love it. It's really something else. Talking about these great Final Four cities, let me put in a word for us. We're going to get in this rotation.
Yeah.
And with a great group of leaders in this city, and I'm certainly not putting myself in that category, but maybe with some of my past experiences around the league commissioners, the head of the NCAAs and the NFLs, et cetera. I'm on that task force that has a great group of people, including former Governor Bill Haslam, and I'm proud to serve. And when we start getting into this rotation for Final Fours and Super Bowls, trust me, the first thing that everybody's going to do, whether it's the NCAA or the NFL, they're going to be looking at their calendars and saying, how soon can we get back? We are going to be one of those desired, must have it on your calendar. Part of the rota is going to be Nashville. I have 100% faith we are going to knock it out of the park, and we're going to be a regular presence in those 2 big events. Well, 3. We're going to have the women's Final Four. We're going to have the men's Final Four. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have Super Bowls here. And then behind it might come national championship games in college football. That's got to be coming next.
Let's go.
We're going to be the ultimate gathering place. It'd be taking Broadway and all of downtown, all the hotels that we've constructed, the places to go, the hospitality, the spirit, the kindness. We showed it with the draft years ago. This is going to be – now, I think there are some people nationally that have a hint of it, but they don't really know. And we're going to blow them out of the water. We're going to take all those cities I mentioned before. If you're going to say, you know what, Nashville was the best, was the absolute best.
Preach it, Nantz. Preach it. I love it.
Jim,
Nashville ain't got no roof.
It's going up. It's going up. The thing I love about that, Jim, I love how you continue to say we. You're engulfed in the city, in the community. That's what it is. I appreciate that. You're a great ambassador for Houston as well. So I got to test you real quick before I ask you this next question and let you go. I was picking up on the chant, and I need to make sure it was going like I thought. So let me see if you can finish it for me. Whose house?
Cougs house.
I got it right.
Yeah,
okay.
we're the Houston Cougars. Go Cougs. Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
That's a chant that echoes through the chambers of the Fertitta Center, our home court. So yeah, that's one of many that we have. But we're 200 miles from the Alamo Dome. I don't think it's going to be blanketed in red, because the tickets are evenly dispersed to the schools, and you know how it is. But we'll be well represented there. It won't be a road game, and maybe that's unfortunate for us because we rise to that occasion.
Yes, I do.
But it's going to be a great scene, and I'm just now got another thing to look forward to. I get to look after Ron Slay while I'm running around San Antonio.
Well, I know one thing, Jim. You batting
Jim Nantz
1,000.
and Ron Slay, watch out.
You gave us Commander's Palace, and I told my brother Ramon that was
so
the
good.
best steak I've ever had. So you batting 1,000. You got your work cut out for you, big guy.
Well, I remember you guys are down there, and that's one of my favorite restaurants in the world.
They talk highly of you.
World class.
They love you, Jim.
I'm so glad you liked it. Yeah.
Did you?
I got the nice picture from you guys.
Yeah, I don't know if you heard this story. So I just randomly called them and I said, hey, can we get a reservation? And then I looked over at Slay and Brent and I said, hey, this is where Jim told us to go, right? It's Commander's Palace. This is it, right? And the guy on the other line said, well, if you're talking about Jim Nantz, yes, this is it.
Oh, my gosh.
Sure did.
That's
I
that
promise.
guy's name,
I didn't even name drop
I'm so
you,
glad
Jim.
you told me that. I got to tell you, I have, for whatever reason, I have a really good recall. I've been blessed with that. It served me well in my business. So I know names and numbers. I don't know why. It's almost photographic. I don't think it's quite. But that reservationist, his name is Jimmy Broussard, okay?
Yep.
Now, that sounds absurd that I would know that, but that was Jimmy who would have answered the phone and would have perked up and said, "You're not talking about Jim Nantz, are you?" Because I love that guy, and he is a special ambassador for the Commander's Palace. And
He loves you,
I'm so
too.
happy you did that. Yeah.
Well, and I promise I didn't even name drop you, Jim. Like, I literally just said Jim, and he was like, well, if you're talking about Jim Nantz, I'm like, actually, I am. This is weird.
That's awesome.
So
That
it was
is awesome. I am going to make a call on that one.
He was great.
That one is a follow-up. Thank you for sure. That's so super.
They were wonderful. Well, a guest unlike any other, Jim Nantz. We always appreciate you so much.
Thank you for that.
Yes, our 3HL family absolutely adores you. And, I cannot wait for Augusta. It's going to be awesome.
And we're almost there. Yeah, we're almost there. My Cougars, if we get to Monday night, they're going to delay my arrival time. But yeah,
I think
yeah,
that'll be okay. Then.
all the while I have the contingency plan. If we're not in the Final Four, I will be there on Friday. I'm sorry, Sunday.
Yes.
And now that we're in the Final Four, and you're looking at one win away, I know it's Duke, but if we get past Duke, now I won't get there until Tuesday, and now I'm back on the same schedule I lived for 37 years. I thought I got away from that. Yeah.
This is fun, though, isn't it?
It's so much fun.
Love it.
It's what sports is about. We're supposed to enjoy it. We're supposed to get lost in it, escape in it, be passionate about it. Yeah. It's a real release for all of us in our worlds, whatever it is we do. And it's fun to be connected to something. And listen, you guys have been so great to me. I hope to come back and have a studio visit, maybe even this summer if you guys will have me. But I really, really was thinking last night, making my way back home, I really wanted to call you guys so I could just speak to some of the Tennessee fans and just thank them for their warmth and kindness and class. What I saw and my Houston family saw yesterday in Indianapolis. Trust me, it's a rarity. And I saw it firsthand, and it made me proud to be a Tennessean.
That is awesome.
Appreciate
well,
that, Jim.
we appreciate you always, and I'm an Auburn Tiger, so
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, so I'll say go Cougs until you meet Auburn.
Yeah,
How's that?
you got to. You got to go for your team. By the way, they look great. I just voted today on one of the National Player of the Year.
Oh, I wanted to bring it up. Oh.
You can't say.
I voted for Johnny. I gave Johnny my vote.
Hey,
Yeah.
hello.
Okay. I
Thank
like
you,
it.
Jim. I've been preaching it.
Oh, here we go.
Yes.
SEC. Yeah.
Just saying. Okay.
Awesome. Okay, well, good
See you in
luck.
San Antonio,
Have so
baby.
much fun, and thank
See you guys soon, okay?
Yep, we always appreciate
See
you,
you
Jim.
in San Antonio.
Yes, sir.
Right back at you.
See ya.
Bye-bye now.
Thank you. There you go, Jim Nantz, the best ever, and a great Nashvilleian
Yes, and a 3HL.
friend. We always say friend of the show.
Friend of the show, yeah.
Line 3 is his line.
Line 3, that's
as a
right.
matter of
Yeah.
fact. So, do you know what I love?
What?
I love his passion, not just for sports, because we know he's always
Right.
had that, right?
Right.
But I love his passion for his team and just how he talks
Yep.
about, like, that is what
can
sports
feel it.
about. Good stuff. All right, we'll take a quick break. Back after this. This is 3HL 104.5 The Zone.